Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Pop Culture News here on The Experience. I'm your anchor, Dan Wickline. Anchor, that's kind of a fun word. We're going to hit the news today. We've got a lot going on, and the biggest thing has to be the set photos coming out of Cleveland for the new Superman movie being directed by James Gunn. And in it, we are seeing both David Corenswet and Eddie Ortega as Superman and Mr. Terrific. And the costumes are really good. The Mr. Terrific one looks like it literally just walked off the comic book page. The Superman one, it's a little more movable than we're used to seeing Superman. Superman's costumes tend to be very skin tight, which I never really understood. This is almost has a Darwin Cook feel to it, but it's got the new logo with the yellow border around the outside of it. It's got the red trunks that are a little longer. Not sure how I feel about those yet. I'm not a big fan of the red trunks, but they don't look bad. But also we've seen that the yellow S logo is on the cape. So I know that's going to make a lot of people happy. But again, people will find reasons to complain one way or another. But either way, the costume looks the right colors. But then again, we don't know, that's in live action. We don't know how it's going to translate to actually being on film. But those photos are out there on the internet. You can find them. They're not official photos, so I don't know if we'll show them here or not. Probably not. But it's looking pretty good. I think people who have been questioning James Gunn may turn around. It'll be even more interesting once we see like Hawk Girl or Green Lantern or Metamorpho. I think those will be the big sellers, but we'll see about that. All right, let's move on to our next bit of news, and that has to do with the Boys series. I made a joke about a week or so back saying that Eric Kripke wasn't sure how long the series was going to go, and that he was probably delaying it until he can get Jared Padalecki on the show, since he already had Jensen Ackles and Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Sam Winchester and their father. He just needed Dean, or maybe it's the other way around. Is it Sam? Sorry, Dean Winchester. Jared is Sam. But now it's come out that Sam is in talks and will likely be in the 5th and final season of The Boys. When he was asked about joining the show, he said yes. He told Deadline, "We have talked about a role. As a matter of fact, we talked today. I think at this point in my acting life, I only want to work on projects that I really care about or with people that I really care about." And obviously, Eric and I are indelibly connected forever. Padalecki has, of course, some free time since CW kind of just out of the blue canceled his series Walker back in May. So, yeah, he's got the time. He did talk about going back to work with Kripke. He says, he created Supernatural. He created Sam Winchester. He created Ruby, who was played by Genevieve Padalecki, who I ended up marrying and starting a family with. I adore him. I adore his humor. I adore him as a person, his storytelling. So I can't wait. I don't think season 5 films until next year, but I'll be ready when he makes that phone call. I'll just say, okay, when am I flying out? Now, the big question, of course, will be, will season 5 include a return of Ackles as Soldier Boy so we can actually get that full-on Supernatural reunion? News about one of my favorite series, Only Murders in the Building, over on Hulu. The upcoming 4th season has a bit of a Hollywood twist where the podcast that Charles, Steve Martin, Mabel, Selena Gomez, and Oliver Martin Short started and is kind of the set for the series is being picked up by Hollywood to make as a movie. And they've cast the people who are going to be playing them in the movie or the TV show, whichever it is. So the guy who's going to be standing in for Steve Martin is Eugene Levy. Perfect. Standing in for Selena Gomez is Eva Longoria, which is kind of interesting. Age difference, but I could see it. But the guy standing in for Martin Short is Zach Galifianakis. And these aren't the only big names in the season. I mean, they already have Meryl Streep and Cyril Kreisen and Davine Joy Randolph returning, but they've added Melissa McCarthy, Molly Shannon, Kamel Najani, and Richard Kind to the fourth season as well. So I look forward to seeing what this, and of course, it all takes place around the death of Jane Lynch's character of Saz Pataki. So I'm looking forward to the fourth season. It's one of my favorite shows on the air right now. Also, I love that Richard Kind is getting work because how much Colin Farrell looks like Richard Kind when he's in the penguin makeup. Okay, if you guys have been scratching your head trying to figure out, okay, what is going on with Avengers 5? Well, I can tell you at least this much. The Doctor is in. Benedict Cumberbatch was on a podcast called Still Watching Netflix, and he confirmed that he will be returning as Doctor Strange in the upcoming fifth Avengers movie, and that he's expecting it to be filming next year. Now, the Sherlock actor did say last year that he was returning, and he expected it to film this year, but with all the delays and stuff, it makes sense that it got pushed. Now, the other problem is that the film still doesn't have a director and is currently going through rewrites. Now, the latest rumor has Deadpool and Wolverine director Sean Levy lining up to take the helm. But I think if they are going to announce that, that'll be at D23 in August and allow for Deadpool to come out. And if Deadpool does the kind of numbers, the Deadpool and Wolverine do the numbers they thought, then that'll be a huge announcement. And if it bombs, then maybe they don't make that announcement. I don't know. Also, they're still trying to figure out what they're going to call the movie. Originally, it was Avengers Kang Dynasty. Some are still referring to it as that. Others are calling it just Avengers 5, with the title to be named later. But ever since Kang actor Jonathan Majors had his arrest and conviction, the studio has that they parted ways with the actor, and they haven't recast yet. But the interesting thing is that Jonathan Majors is starting to get acting roles again. He ended up getting probation, no jail time. He got some kind of award for perseverance the other night, and has been cast to lead another movie coming up. So I don't know. I don't think Marvel is going to seriously consider bringing him back, but you never know nowadays. They brought back James Gunn after firing him, and that worked out. So who knows? I don't know. Moving back to Superman, with David Cornsweet starting to film it, somebody asked Brandon Routh, the guy who played Superman in 2006 and then reprised the role as part of the Arrowverse during Crisis, as well as playing the Atom, if he had any advice for Cornsweet. And Routh said, I think the biggest thing for me about Superman is always recognizing the non-physical superpowers that he has. It can be cheesy to relate to, or to relate it to the teach a man to fish story, but quite literally, this is how I see it. It's a very apropos to being the thing. If you save people all the time, everywhere, maybe they never learn how to save themselves. That doesn't mean that you don't save them, but it just means that the teaching, the personality, the aspect, the human communication, the understanding Superman can give us for inclusion. To me, Superman is pure love. He doesn't judge. He has to make some hard choices and stop people from doing bad things. But my goal for Superman is that he's the guy that everyone can be in their person. Maybe without all the flying and all this other stuff, but he's an example, the best of humanity, and he could teach us to do it, not just by his actions, but by calling out the truth. Pretty good advice. Moving over to Marvel again, even Moss Bacharach, the guy who plays Richie on The Bear, he played Microchip in The Punisher. He was even in Andor. He's going to be playing Ben Grimm in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. And he was on um, The Daily Show the other day, and they asked him what type of training he was going through. And now remember, when they asked the guy playing Johnny Storm, that the guy joked that he was lighting himself on fire every day. Don't do that, kids. So what was Moss Bacharach going to say? He says, well, Ben Grimm is covered in rocks or encased in rocks. He says, so basically I've just been out there looking at rocks. He also tied the recent orange vandalism, the vandalism of Stonehenge, where people snuck in and painted it orange, to his upcoming character, saying, orange stones, I should go there and get inspiration. Now, the Fantastic Four should start shooting anytime now, because they're looking at a July 2025 release, so they need to get started. Going between Marvel and DC, that a pipeline appears to be continuing to be hot, as Palm Clementif is kind of admitting that she's at least been discussing the possibility of joining the DCU now that her Guardians of the Galaxy director, James Gunn, has made the jump. So she, of course, played Mantis, and she said, when asked the question, she said, do you really think I'm going to answer that question? I just want to keep working with James. So we're going to keep trying to find ways to do that. Yes, we've been talking about one specific character, but I can't talk about it right now. She explained, it's always my dream to be an X-Men or part of the Marvel movies. Then I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, and it became my first Marvel movie ever. Then I got cast in the second one. I feel so lucky. Now, she has appeared in the DCU as a cameo type role as a dancer in the bar scene in James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie. But I'm sure whatever they're thinking of is going to be a much bigger role. So we will see how that works out. And then the news just breaking a little while ago, the comic book Proof from Image Comics is being turned into a TV series at Fox. The network is developing the supernatural crime procedural that came from Alex Grecian and Riley Rossman, which pairs two unlikely heroes together: disgruntled FBI agent in training Ginger Rodriguez and John Prufrock, a jazz-loving Bigfoot, to protect the world from cryptids, obscure creatures whose existence has yet to be proven. While these two start off as a surprising duo, they strike up an unlikely friendship, partnership, and even potential romance as they help save the world side by side. The series adaptation is coming from Corey Goldman and Jeremy Lott, who previously sold a supernatural feature based on the IDW graphic novel Lore to Warner Brothers with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson attached. See, that's kind of interesting because quite a few years ago, I worked on a book at Image called Savage, which was an idea by Steve Niles and Jeff Frank that I ended up writing the script for, and Mike Mayhew did the artwork on. That's about a Bigfoot that is a monster hunter. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, so that's the news. Stick around later today. We've got Talking Shop and Mint Hunter and Kicking It with Onray. So you want to stick around for all that. I will see you guys later on Thursday when I'm going to talk about the Marvel directors and where have all the good ones gone. See you guys later.